Hello everyone, I'm Kathi Powers, Superintendent of the Twinsburg City School District. Welcome to Twinsburg Schools Today. Well, we're way into the month of October and the school year seems to be flying by. And as usual, we have so many wonderful things happening at our school district. And if you've been paying attention to the Ohio Department of Education, you know that one of the focuses this year happens to be on social emotional growth of children. So today's program is talking all about the important things that we're doing in our school district relative to making sure that our students are well adjusted, feeling good about themselves so that they can study hard and achieve in school. So I have wonderful guests today. I'd like to introduce Matt Hoffman, our school counselor at Samuel Bissell Elementary School. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
And you're a star. You're on my show almost every year.
It seems like it.
Yes, well, you have a lot to share, and I thank
Good.
you for that, too. And our new school counselor from Wilcox Primary School, Esther Boutros. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're here. Well, here we are, well into the month of October, and there is so many things that are exciting happening in our schools. Mm-hmm. And our children are now getting adjusted by now to the new school year. And we've been talking a lot about our PBIS initiatives and ways that we make our school environment a happy and healthy place for children. So Esther, why don't we start with you and talking a little bit about Wilcox Primary School and some of the special things that you have happening there.
Yes, our social and emotional needs are very important to our school. And so some of the things that we have going is our mindful music program, where classical music starts every single morning, every day, and it really helps the children kind of get in the zone, be ready to learn, and practice those mindfulness skills where they could be more aware of their own bodies, be more aware of their own feelings, and be more aware about how they work inside.
So that's called Mindful Moments.
Yes, Mindful Moments,
Okay.
And it features classical music. And I know the teachers get to have access to those moments too, with a password and access to the actual website, and they can use it in their own classrooms as well.
So when you mention that the students are more mindful about themselves, what do you mean by that?
More mindful as in just being aware of their presence, being aware of the space around them, and being in the moment. So for example, one of the mornings it'll play classical music and it'll ask to, put their hands on the floor, and while listening to the songs, they can see how the floor feels. Does it feel cold? Does it feel warm? How does it feel just on their hands? When they move it around, is it dirty or is it clean? So it really gets them to be focused in the present
Be
moment.
centered.
Yes.
Why is that important for children, especially our youngest learners?
Yes, so for the primary level, it's important to try to practice that mindful moment or being present, because in that developmental stage, it's pretty easy, it's pretty natural just to kind of, be wanting to play all the time or, kind of be active a lot of the day. So it's really, it really helps to kind of ground them in the moment and really ground them to help them focus on what they're learning and be able to grasp things as they are sponges a lot.
Yes.
So it really helps them in the educational setting and to be successful as a student and in the school.
Now, Ms. Villa told me that the music that is used for this happens to be that of our Cleveland Orchestra.
Yes, exactly. Yes, so there's a lot of different classical songs that come about. It only lasts for about a minute or two, same time every day, and it's just that little bit of time in the morning to just help them get centered and be ready to learn for the rest of the day.
I think that's a great idea.
It's wonderful.
Getting kids
Yes.
ready and having them have some skills that they can use in other places too.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So, Mr. Hoffman, over at Bissell, and I know this is an adjustment this year because you used to be part-time at Bissell and part-time at Wilcox, and this year you're full-time at Samuel Bissell Elementary School. How's that going?
Well, I miss Wilcox. I miss the little
sure.
ones. But I think the big thing is just consistency throughout the day. Being there every day means that I can check in on students. I can start new programs where there's follow-through. I think that especially for the little ones, knowing that you're there every day for them, knowing that if they have a problem, there's a safe place to go. Just being there every day gives me the opportunity to do that for them. And I think the initiative to get a counselor in every school is really important, and I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, it does. There are so many needs, right? And making sure we have enough staff and staff that are doing such a great job with our students is really paramount. So at Bissell and as well as at Wilcox, this year we started a program, actually last year we started a program called Zones of Regulation.
Right.
Can you share a little bit about what that is?
Well, I think just listening to her talk about the mindful music moments, Zones of Regulation was started just so students and kids would have a better way to kind of regulate their own emotions. And I think what happens a lot of times is students have a hard time sharing with people, this is how I'm feeling or this is why I'm feeling this way. So Zones of Regulation was started so students could start to have a recognition of what they're feeling, and it was divided up into 4 colors to help them with that. So we have a red zone, we have a yellow zone, we have a blue zone, and we have a green zone. And even starting in kindergarten, students are taught what emotions go into each one of those zones. And then what they can do then is have a better way to communicate to adults which zone they're in, which means how they're feeling. And then it gives them tools to kind of figure out, if I'm feeling this way, what can I do to make myself feel better? So when I heard the mindful music moments, I think the Zones of Regulation is just another way for students to know this is how I'm feeling and it's okay, but now maybe there's some things I can do about it for myself.
So to recognize that. So for example, if you're a child in the blue zone, what does that mean?
Well, blue zone and really all the zones, it's not so much just feelings, it's also kind of energy levels.
Okay.
So blue zone's kind of the slow zone, which means sad or tired or unmotivated.
Monday morning.
So Monday morning, the blue zone.
Right,
And when I talk to the students about the colors, it really is kind of easy to figure out which zones are which, because you would think of the blue zone as kind of the sad, slow zone, and the green zone as the happy, good zone. So the colors and the zones all have their own feelings for it. So if a student's feeling slow and they're feeling sad, then they need to kind of get energized up, and we talk to them about how they can do that.
So not only recognizing what zone you're in, but also helping you get out of a zone that is maybe not a healthy place to be?
Right. And then to understand that, first of all, it's okay to be in that zone. We all get in all the zones every day. It's just that when you're in a zone that you're not happy with, there's certain tools you can use to get out of it.
Right. So for children that are kindergarten and even preschool, introducing this color thing is a good thing because some of the children can't quite read yet.
Yes.
So
Yes.
in the case of Wilcox, how do you introduce something like this to our smallest children?
Yes. So at Wilcox, luckily, every week our teachers are sharing mini lessons with them about the zones of regulation. And it starts off, just understanding the colors and the feelings. And then to help reinforce that, there are small groups for zones of regulation that, for some students that might need some of that extra support, more of that small group environment to help them, get back on track, or just really that extra support. And then for the young ones, like Mr. Hoffman said, the colors are really helpful because they can maybe not share or say the actual feelings, but they can at least point to a chart. Every classroom has a color chart of the zones. And so the child can just point to the chart without even saying anything, and it's understood, and it's non-judgmental. They're saying it in a safe way, in a safe space, and it's understood that that's how they're feeling. So what can we do to get them back into that ready-to-learn zone, the green zone? And I would say even for parents, this is not something I made up on my own, but I do like to share and explain zones to parents, as in the stoplight. The red zone is, stop. We need to rethink things. What can we do to get back on track? And then in the yellow part of the traffic light, it's the slow down part. So the yellow zones have a lot of more high energy feelings. So maybe we need to slow down a little bit. And then the green zone in the traffic light means go. So you're ready to go. And then when you're driving down a highway, you'll see a blue rest area sign where, people would pop over there to maybe get re-energized. And just like Mr. Hoffman's saying, the blue zone is where maybe they feel sluggish a little bit. So they need to find tools to help them re-energize. So for adults, I like to use the green, yellow, red stoplight and then the blue rest area to get be energized.
So have you both introduced this to our parents then? It makes sense that you might have.
Well, right now we're kind of at the beginning stage where we're talking to the kids about it. When we start to talk to the PTA, when we start to have some parent meetings down the line, we'll explain a little better to them what we're doing. But they've gotten things sent home to them describing what the zones of regulations are. We talk often to the students about going home and explaining to your parents what we're doing with the zones of regulation. So I think an important next step for zones of regulation probably as we move forward is making it more of a family centered thing where they can do some of these same things at home too.
Makes sense. The carryover would be natural then.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt, at Bissell is the first opportunity for our students to really become engaged in the studies that prepare them for success on the Ohio State tests. What are some of the things that you do to help students balance the anxiety that they might be feeling about these tests that they will be taking ultimately in the springtime?
So I meet with every third grade classroom leading up to the testing, and we talk very much so about the fact that first of all, these tests are going to be a part of their lives all the way through high school.
Sure.
So the anxiousness that you're feeling, as soon as we can get rid of it, the quicker the better. It's not the be-all, end-all of education, but more importantly, it's not the be-all, end-all of you as a human being. So being a better person, being a kinder person, caring more about other students, caring more about your parents, caring about schoolwork is much more important than how you do on this test.
Right.
But it's something that you need to take seriously. And there's certain skills that you can use that will help you do better on it. And I think it kind of starts with that anxiousness and getting rid of it as quick as we can. But I think for our third graders, the biggest step, and it's not just me, it's both principals and all of the teachers, being open about it and talking about it, and it's not kind of hidden behind the scenes. It's not something that just pops up on them. The dialogue between us and the students is pretty open, so they know what to expect, they're ready for it, and they know that if they give their best effort, that's all that we really care about.
Right. Well, I like that approach to it because we can cause children to be more anxious about something unless we're open with them and talk about it too. Right. And I guess to draw our session to an end here, just a couple tips that you both can offer to parents about maybe some anxiety just coming to school, having a bad day. Maybe we're having a test. Maybe somebody is not being a friend on the playground. What are some things that parents can help their children in making things better?
Sure. I think one of the things I think is important is for parents to be present with their child or children, to validate their emotions, their feelings. For a child's perspective, it may be a big deal, but for an adult's perspective, it may not be a big deal, but it's still important to the child. So I think being mindful and being present with them in that moment and validating, that must have been tough, or wow, I hear you, you had a bad day. Just to be with them, I think, would help a lot.
Great advice.
Yes.
And for our little bit larger students, what do you think about
Well,
that?
just to go beyond that a little bit is I tell parents all the time that's why we have a school counselor.
Right.
And besides all of the other things that I do, the most important part of my job is to be an advocate for the students. So I share with them often, if you're feeling that way, who can you talk to? And it doesn't just have to be me, but I think sharing with your child that talking to someone is important. And when you do that, you not only come up with a solution, but you feel validated, you feel like you belong there, you feel like people are there to help you. So I tell parents all the time, if your child's feeling that way, there's a reason and they should talk to someone.
Right. Well, thank you both for being here today and sharing some tips for our students, especially for the parents from Wilcox Primary School and Samuel Bissell Elementary School. I'm grateful for all that you do every day at our buildings.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Yes.
You're very welcome. When we come back, we will be visited with Mrs. Cheryl Linden, our school counselor at George G. Dodge Intermediate School, along with Mrs. Lisa Moore, who is the assistant principal at R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Twinsburg Schools Today. Our show for the month of October is talking all about our social emotional programming in the Twinsburg City School District. And you just heard from Matt Hoffman and Esther Boutros, our counselors at Bissell and at Wilcox. And I'm delighted now to welcome Mrs. Cheryl Linden, our counselor at George G. Dodge Intermediate School.
Oh,
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome back to the show because you've been here before. And Mrs. Lisa Moore, our assistant principal at the middle school at RBC.
Correct.
And you've
Glad
never
to be
been here before.
Never been here before.
Well, here you go.
Here
Hang
I
on
go.
tight, right? I'm so glad that both of you are here because we know that as children develop and grow between our schools, that they change, personalities change, and their needs change,
Yes.
especially when we're talking about social, emotional, and adjustments. And at Dodge, we have 4th, 5th, and 6th grade children. A lot of transition happens at Dodge. So what are some of the things that you do as school counselor to help address all of those transitions?
I think Dodge is unique in some regards. It is a big transition from Bissell to Dodge. You know, we have the increase of lockers. They now
right.
have 2 teachers. It can oftentimes be overwhelming, and so we try to be very proactive in our approach. I know I meet with the 3rd grade students, or when they're 3rd graders, to talk to them about what it's like at Dodge, to give them like that typical day experience. We do the transition where the students can come visit our building and get that view. So that first day they're not as nervous. But I work with students a lot on organization. That seems to be where things really begin with them, keeping those lockers clean, making sure they have the right materials for which class. And it's really an opportunity to teach the skills, because those are lifelong skills that they have in time management and organizational supports. So I like to start there with the transition. And, you know, even when I'm working with parents, you know, they're like, oh, they're getting older, they can do this themselves, but they are still young and they still need our support. And teaching them the skills. You know, you're not naturally organized. These
Right.
are skills that you need to be taught and to practice. And they're still that some adults are learning now today. So we try to do our best, especially with our incoming 4th graders. And then, you know, as we're preparing them for RBC as well, where they have more than 2 different teachers and schedule their time, we really work a lot on organization when it comes to that transition piece.
I never really thought about that, but that has to be one of the main focuses at the beginning of the year and probably all through the year with our Dodge Tigers.
Yes. Yeah, and the use of the agenda is something too that, you know, now they're taking a little bit more ownership and responsibility. We're really trying to increase that responsibility of them while still being that support system for them. You know, we're going to be there to help them along the way, but again, we're teaching them the skills. We're not just kind of throwing them out there.
It's an adjustment for parents too.
It is communicating with multiple teachers, remembering the homework for which class, and keeping everything organized there too. And getting that relay of information is a little bit different too with our students, because we are giving them more ownership. And so sometimes that message doesn't always get relayed the way we intended it to. So there's a lot of communication that's involved with parents and teachers, but you know, we have so many ways to access our teachers, and they're so great about wanting to work with the teacher or with the parents and just work together. It's for the benefit of each student, and that's what's really important to us.
So then from our 6th grade to our 7th grade building, and boy, that is a big transition to a much larger school. Not so much in numbers, but really just the plant of the school itself.
Correct.
So how are you doing as far as helping our 7th graders now assimilate into the middle school?
Right, and then we do have more teachers that they have to be involved with, and our parents have to be involved with, and we have more anxiety over getting to your classes, the expectations from each teacher, those types of things. So that's why PBIS just comes to the forefront.
Can you explain what PBIS means?
Yes, so PBIS is Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, and the purpose is to establish and maintain a positive school climate with kids using the appropriate behaviors. And RBC has been recognized as a silver school for the state of Ohio.
Just recently we've got
Just
the recognition.
recently.
Right. Yay, you. Right?
Yes, along with Bissell. Bissell's being recognized as a bronze level school for PBIS. We're silver level because we have implemented and are maintaining our implementation with Tier 1 and Tier 2. What I mean by tiers is that we follow the MTSS framework, which is multi-tier systems of supports. So Tier 1 is school-wide supports, Tier 2 is for a more targeted group, and then Tier 3 is for individualized plans of support.
So if a student is having, let's see, so say it's an issue with focus. A student has attention issues. Can you explain what kinds of, what's the difference between support a child will get in Tier 1 versus Tier 3?
So tier 1 is school-wide. So we start with our 3 R's: respect, responsibility, and right choices. So we have consistent expectations that teachers teach to the students at the beginning of the school year. We reinforce them throughout the school year. And then we have consistent positive language with the students. So we don't say, stop running in the halls. We say, thank you for walking. And our students respond appropriately.
Positive twist.
Yes. And then we have clearly defined consequences and interventions. So our students know what a minor referral is and what a major referral is, and they all go with points. And our point system is what we use for our incentives. So if they get a point, the next week they don't get to participate in our incentives.
So you don't want points.
You don't want points.
Okay, I see.
This is the one time that you don't want points.
Okay.
So if you do get a point, then, for instance, last week we had Tiger Day at the end of the week. And the teachers and the students go out at the end of the day for a class period. 7th grade goes out and football, basketball, line dancing, karaoke. Last year we had a magician come in. So it's this fun stuff happening. As long as you don't get a point, which means you have met expectations and we're going to reward that. And if you do get a point, then you had to meet with me. And I had an activity over right choices, and we watched a video on right choices. So, but they'd rather be out with their friends playing basketball and football and all of that fun.
But you're using it as a teachable moment,
yes,
though.
so I use it as a teachable moment. And then I don't expect to see them the next Tiger Day because they know you do not want a point. So the students that may have some issues as far as focusing, for example, we have a motto at RBC: every student completes every assignment. And if a student doesn't complete their assignments, they go to the dome, which is a portion of our cafeteria where they eat lunch, and they have 2 teachers that can help them complete those missing assignments. So we use
support.
that. Yeah, so we use that part, and that's still tier 1. But say a student is having trouble still with those assignments, and they're not understanding it, but we find more of organizational issues that you mentioned earlier, that, oh, it's in my homework, oh, it's in this folder, because now they have all of these teachers and all of these assignments. So when we find that, okay, this student is in here, then we give them a reflection sheet after their 4th time in there, and we let them explain, what are the problems that you're having. And if we see that that student needs some more support, now we're going to bring them to tier 2. And so for tier 2, we have one intervention called academic support. And with academic support, we have teachers that serve as one-on-one, their own counselor.
There you go.
And they work with them on time management, organization, because the big thing with lockers is they don't know what to bring because they're going to be away from their lockers for the next 2 periods or 3 periods, and they forget a homework assignment, so now they're missing that assignment, and now they're running back and forth. So now they have their own personal staff member that's
sort
going
of a
to help
mentor
them.
then.
Yes, that's
Right.
going to help them stay organized, and okay, you have a test, so you need to take this home, make sure you're doing, just to help some of the students that need that additional academic support.
Now, Dodge also has the tiers then, as far as RTI goes, and also, is that
For
hooked to
PBIS?
PBIS?
Yeah, they're similar in their supports, but we do have our building-wide. Ours are respect, responsibility, and safety. Those are the expectations that our students live by and hear every day through our Tiger Pledge and all of that. And our building-wide, we have different ways of recognizing those students that are meeting those expectations. We have our tokens of success, which are more individualized, where if any staff member sees a student demonstrating respect, responsibility, or safety, they get a token of success, and we have a drawing at the end of each week. And then we have an opportunity to reward, maybe in our next tier, like the whole classroom. So you really want to create that unity within your homeroom,
Right, and that's a big push at your building, right? The theme of unity?
The theme of unity, yeah. And our PBIS does tie into that building-wide unity program that we have, which is our bullying prevention program. And that word unity means a lot to us because we have our classroom meetings in regards to how can we make this the best building it can be. And we love the student dialogue that comes from it. They share so many great ideas of what we can do. And oftentimes it's the simple things. So we take those, and those are some of our building-wide activities and interventions. And part of it that is a little bit, we love the voice of the student, and last year was our year of wonder. And our students, as you know,
Right.
wrote a letter and was able to have the whole building go see that movie to spread kindness. Well, this year, we've added on to that, and we have a new theme of kindness, just overarching. And we were fortunate enough in the first week of school just to kick that off, and we had the 1 Million Acts of Kindness bus come to our school and did some presentations with Bob and his dog Bogart, and it was a great success. The kids loved it. But what we loved even more of hearing those million acts of kindness was the students took that off and running. And we have some 6th grade classrooms that have created their own bulletin boards, not teacher-driven, anything. It's just students reflecting kindness, and they're engaging the rest of the school. They'd like to have a kindness newsletter that goes out. So we're really supporting the leadership roles of our students, and they're really ingrained in this kindness theme that we're embracing at Dodge, and that's kind of goes hand in hand with that PBIS. And we want to support the positives and encourage that, and not focus as much on the negatives. We want to reinforce everyone to making the right choices and doing the right things, and making our buildings the safest and most comfortable place where students feel like they belong and they're engaged.
Well, it sounds like you want them to have ownership and grow leadership skills in a positive place.
Yeah.
I guess that's what PBIS is all about.
Right, right.
Wow. Well, I appreciate both of you being here today for our show. We could talk for another 4 segments about the things that are happening at George G. Dodge Intermediate School and R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. And I appreciate all of the effort in making sure that our Tigers are feeling comfortable in their place of learning so that they can be successful.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Well, that's a wrap for our show for October. We hope you enjoyed learning just a little bit about our Positive Behavior Intervention Support Program, zones of regulation, and a lot of great work that happens on behalf of our staff to make sure that our Tigers are feeling good about themselves as they achieve great things academically. There are so many things happening in our school district, so please pay attention to the district website for the most up-to-date activities and programs. There are so many things happening, and we hope to see you soon at one of those events in the Twinsburg City School District. Have a great day, everybody.